Hi, I'm Sharon Tang and this is Evening Highlights. It's of course earnings season again, so let's start with AirAsia, which posted a return to profit in its fourth quarter. This as fuel costs fall 21% from a year ago and as more passengers took its domestic flights. The budget carrier made 554 million ringgit in net profit as opposed to the loss of nearly 430 million in the previous corresponding quarter. Revenue rose 47%. The average fuel price during the quarter stood at $75 per barrel from $95 a year ago. Meanwhile, passenger volume growth rose 10% and average fare was up 4%. For the full fiscal year, the carrier's net profit grew more than sixfold to 541 million ringgit. Revenue came in 16% higher at 6.3 billion ringgit. AirAsia's long-haul unit didn't fare quite as well. AAX managed to show net profit in its fourth quarter, but it wasn't enough to bring its full-year numbers back to the black. In the 3 months to December, the carrier's earnings came in at 201.6 million ringgit, its first net profit after 8 quarters of losses. That's thanks to better operating performance and forex gain. Revenue rose a marginal 2% to 836 million ringgit. But for the full year, it's still bleeding. Net loss stood at 360 million ringgit, 44% narrower than in FY14. Revenue was up by about 4%. Meanwhile, RHB Capital's bottom line shrank for a third straight quarter. The country's fourth largest lender by assets saw its earnings weighed down by higher loan impairment charges and operating expenses. RHB Cap's net profit was down 35% to 316 million ringgit, while revenue was flat. It declared an interim dividend of 12 sen. Meanwhile, weak results during the previous 3 quarters of 2015 proved to be a drag on the group's overall net profit. It was down 26% to 1.5 billion ringgit, while revenue was just 4% higher. This year, the group expects the economic landscape to remain challenging.
We will continue to focus on cost optimization and productivity in 2016, which will help us set a new baseline and mitigate the impact of top-line slowdown.
Barring unforeseen circumstances, RHB Cap believes its performance this fiscal year will be better than the last. Moving on, the PAC has now set next Friday and the following Monday for the tabling of the final audit report on 1MDB. By then, the panel members who are currently abroad would be back in the country. According to Bernama, some of the PAC members are not around because they're either meeting commitments overseas or performing the Umrah. The audit report was due to be tabled earlier this week. The PAC's probe into 1MDB's accounts began last March. Among those who had testified before the panel were former 1MDB chairman Tan Sri Lodin Wok Kamarudin, former 1MDB president Datuk Shahrul Halmi, and current president and CEO Arul Kanda Kandasamy. And that wraps up Evening Highlights. I'm Sharon Tang. Thanks for watching.